Uh, Sorry again with this. What are the tools which are used in Java? So when we are talking about those tools, when we are talking about frameworks, etc., then we can say Java is a technology. Okay. General meaning of technology is we can reduce human efforts. Okay. Programming language in the sense which is used to for technology, which is used for the basics which are used for the technology is programming language, and the technology in the sense we can reduce our human efforts. Simple definition, right? So whenever we used any frameworks, okay, like Springs, Hibernate, Ivatis, whatever the frameworks which are there in the Java, so we can reduce our human efforts. Okay, already something will be there in the frameworks like API, and by using that APIs, we can cover almost 50 to 60% of programming, and just whatever the inputs we require, we'll just give that inputs and we'll get the output. Okay, in the frameworks, we no need to write the complete code, and whatever the requirements are there from the clients, those things we need to write and we can get the output. So we are reducing our human efforts. At that time, we can call it as Java is a technology. Okay, simple thing. Advanced Java is a technology. Core Java is a programming, right? And when it comes to programming language, okay, so we can write a program. Simply we can write a program. Let us think we have written a program, and Java is a platform independent programming language. Why we are saying it as platform independent programming language? Because when it comes to C and C++, okay, not only C and C++, just we are targeting before those things, almost which are looks like same, but we have so many programming languages, okay. So before Java, whatever the programming languages are there, there are standalone programs. What is mean by standalone? Which is not capable of distributing environment, okay. So whenever an internet came into an existence, okay, one application is created in one type of operating system or one platform, and we cannot execute the same application in another operating system. So such type of programming we call it as standalone programming. Okay, but whereas when internet is there, okay, so everybody is existence with an internet, but we cannot say everybody has the same operating system. We cannot say everyone is using a Windows operating system or everyone is using Unix operating system. Okay, so we cannot say. So we need a distributed environment first of all. In that distributed environment, different platforms will be there. So to make sure of different platforms and different distributed environments, we need a programming language called Java. So Java is a platform independent. It's mainly developed for distributed environment. Okay. So let's say I've written a program in Windows operating system. Generally, we used to state Java with .java extension. Okay. So I've written a program, a simple program. We have written a simple program in Core Java. Okay. I'm saving it with .java extension, and I've written in Windows operating system. After that, the command is there, javac, a file name .java. I'll explain this, though you know, or it is a new one when we are discussing about programs, but it's a basic question. I'm going to ask a basic question. Okay. So I've written a program, a Java program, okay, in Windows operating system, and I've compiled. Now it is converted into .class file, okay, where .java is the source code, where .class is a bytecode. These are technical terms. bytecode, source code, and after executing this program, it converts into .exe file. So in this explanation, you can expect two important questions, and you can say that interviews questions also. Okay. So let me explain before asking the questions. Let me explain what is requirement for the questions. Okay. So we have written a program in Windows. Okay. So generally it's saved to the .java extension. The .java extension is called as source code, and I've compiled that program. Now it is converted into .class file. Okay. And that .class file, I'm just executing that .class file, so automatically it is converted into .exe. Why .exe? Because only .exe files can be understandable by system. Yes, any software, even it's a VLC software or any type of software, generally it is used to understand only .exe format, not .java or not .doc. Or not any other extensions. It can understand only .exe. Whether it can be any extensions, it should convert into .exe itself. Okay. So finally, it is converted into .exe for system understandable one, and it executes inside system hardware. Okay. Fine. Now, in between this execution of program and converting into .exe, there is a software called JVM. It is not an hardware, it is a software, Java Virtual Machine. Okay, it's a Java program. A Java program which is used to convert a .class file into .exe file. Fine. My question is, JVM is a Java program, right? Java is platform independent. Already we know Java is a platform independent programming language, and we know it is used for distributed operating system, and we also know like a simple example, let's take a banking related example, okay, because Java provides more and more security. So when it compares to other technologies, forget about C and C++, when it compares to other technologies in the market like .NET or any other technologies, what is a more flexible one, what is the main reason which we are using Java is security. Okay. So because of this reason, most of the bank applications will use Java. 90% or not 90, 99.9% of banking applications will be there in Java programming language. Okay. Because clients will not, if client has a knowledge of programming languages or any technology, generally he chooses Java. Even though if client has no idea about any technologies, generally people will advise about Java because it provides more security. Even they don't want to take risk. Okay, so 99.9% of bank applications will be there in Java. So let's take a simple example. So I'm transferring the money or I'm getting the money, whatever, I'm doing some bank transactions. So in my home itself, I'm doing some bank transactions. In my home, I have a Unix operating system. Okay, but this bank application is developed in Windows or any other operating system. So I'm accessing one type of program in one operating system to another operating system. So it should be accessed, right? And Java has a capability of accessing from different operating systems. So we can say Java is a platform independent, right? And my question is whether JVM is a platform independent or dependent one. It's a very important interview question also. Simple question is like, JVM is a Java software where it is a Java program. We know that Java is a programming language, but what is JVM? Is it a platform independent one or a dependent one?
I think it's Java platform independent.
Why platform independent?
because like we have to while accessing the information from the bank, same bank example.
Okay.
So we should be able to access the data.
Yes, we should be able to access the data.
I think there is some I'm little actually this is tricky question I feel, because bytecode is something, because of that it is independent. You can no need to execute, you can just take the program and run on any platform. But JVM, I think every system has its own JVM, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So in that scenario, if every system has its own JVM, so I think that whatever system, even I think if you go to Windows or XP, like whatever other systems are there, every system has its own JVM and that supports this bytecode. So
yes,
that's how we execute it. We can execute it, and it is that nature will make it portable. So I think JVM is something dependent on the individual machines which already has it to support to execute the Java.
Yes, exactly. So JVM is platform dependent. It is not platform independent. Why? Because the .java is Java programming and it is converted into .class, right? So whenever it is converted into .class, now it is platform independent. Okay. So this .class file is platform independent. What is mean by platform independent? It can be executed in any other platforms. So when it is converted into .class, it means that it can execute in any other platforms. So JVM is not, of course it is a Java program, it's a Java related one, but it is not comes with Java software. As you said, whenever we are installing any operating system, in the operating system itself, JVM will be there. Okay. So let us compare this with bank application. Some bank application is written in Windows operating system, and they have compiled and they have given a .class file to the client. Generally, clients supposed to take only .class files, not .source code, okay, .java code, because whenever they need any changes, okay, if they given a .java file, they can easily change with other clients. I mean, with other software companies or etc. If we have given a .java file, right? Other software companies and other software people, they can easily understand the Java code and they can change also. But whenever we have given a .class cannot be understandable before we convert it. Okay, so for the clients only will give .class files. These .class files are already a platform independent and will ask to implement in any operating system, like server, not in clients, in the server. We ask them to implement in any type of servers. So this .class file will be implemented in a server, and that server contains, let us take Unix operating system. So when they are installing Unix operating system, automatically this JVM will be installed. Okay, so JVM is related to an operating system. Fine. So JVM, whenever it is related to an operating system, and one more thing, JVM is a free software. Okay, so you can easily download a JVM for any type of operating system, and Windows contains Windows related JVM, and Unix contains Unix related JVM, Linux contains Linux related JVM. So in such a way, JVM is a platform dependent one. Okay, generally this question will be asked in interviews. It's not a big tricky one, but they'll ask in a tricky way whether JVM is related to Java, Java is a platform independent, and what is JVM? In this way they will ask. Okay, so this is the way we will execute the programs. One second. In this way we will execute the programs. Okay, fine. Let's come to Java related one. So the content which we are going to see mainly in Java, object oriented concepts. These are very important. First of all, let me know, core Java is nothing but fundamentals. Okay, Though it is fundamentals, but it's very important. In my sense, even though we are not knowing any technologies, it's fine. But without knowing fundamentals, we cannot we cannot survive in the industry, right? Just we want to know the fundamentals. If we all know the fundamentals, the company dependence. Technology is purely company dependent. Someone uses Spring framework and someone uses Hibernate framework if you are going to any database operations, okay? Someone uses IBATIS, whatever the frameworks, or someone uses a new framework which is created in the company, okay? If top MNCs are there, so in that they'll create their own framework and they'll ask us to implement in that framework itself, because architects will be there. Those architects will create some frameworks, okay? So whatever the framework, whatever the things, if it is in Java, we need to know core Java. That is very basic one. So in my sense, core Java is more important than technologies, okay? So in this core Java, we'll cover an object-oriented concepts. Just we have 4 different object-oriented concepts. Encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. Yes. Okay. So we have 4 different object-oriented concepts, and these are very important. You can put any number of star marks. Okay. Because based on this concepts itself, if you know these concepts, it's okay. Know in the sense of at least a basic thing also, it is okay. But whenever we have to write any programs, okay, well, generally will not concentrate while writing these programs what is encapsulation and all. But whenever we go into industry, first very basic thing is we need object-oriented concepts, okay. So without knowing object-oriented concepts, without knowing the implementation of those, we cannot write a program. Even we have written a program, it looks like a child program, okay, like a children is writing the program. But whenever we are writing the programs in real time, we have to concentrate on mostly not only a functionality part. Of course, in 10 lines when we have written the code, it perfectly executed, or in 2 lines also it should perfectly executed. But thing is compatibility, okay. So how we are making code very compatible, that is very important in the industry. That is called smart work.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sai. Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Like these things in starting when you said source code and you gave examples of banking and all, that time I don't know what happened because of that disturbance. I was very mute. I didn't hear anything. So I missed starting. So you're going to repeat again, right? All those things in starting?
Yes, actually whenever we are discussing the programs, we'll again repeat this, not an issue.
Okay, because starting what you explained it where I just missed part of it, and after that again I thought it was some issue from your end, so I was keep quiet, so I didn't hear anything. After some time again I was able to come on with this.
Okay.
So yeah, so I thought you will repeat that, because when you're not, now you're writing, I can see the notepad. Before that enter your name, email ID, go to meeting has corrupted my window. So I was not able to see it. Now I'm able to see whatever you are writing. Before I could not see anything what you written on the notepad.
Okay, not an issue. Just it's a brief introduction today. Okay. From if class goes on, whenever you started any programming, so I'll explain whatever the contents. Just I'm going to explain what are the sessions will be there. Okay.
Okay.
It's a basic idea.
Okay.
Fine. So these are the object-oriented concepts which are there in Java, and along with those object-oriented concepts, we are going to discuss about multi-threading. Okay, so multi-threading is a concept which is used in server-related programs. So whenever we implement or whenever we are deploying anything into the server executes in types of multi-threading. Because let's take a bank application is there, same bank application. Okay, So this bank application is somewhere in the world in a single machine. It's like a server. It is deployed, and that program is executed, and that program can be accessed throughout the world. Okay, let's take in a second some 100 hitings are there to the server. Okay, throughout the world, so many people will access the bank application. It's a famous bank application. Within a second, we can expect 100 hitings to the server. Okay, if 100 hitings are there to a server, a single machine, how it will be executed? So it should execute in such a way that whenever it is coming any request, it should create a thread, and it should pass the same response to that particular customer. Okay, so if 100 ratings are there, it is creating 100 different threads, and one thread is capable of handling one request. In such a way, we are creating the same program into different threads. That is one type of programming.
Okay.
So in multi-threading, we can see that how a program will be divided into different threads. Okay, and the same program can be executed in such a way that without any performance issues. Okay, so there we can see a multi-threading. Socket programming, network programming. Okay, so already we know Java is a distributed one. So if it is a distributed one, it should connect with remote systems and remote environments. To connect with remote environments, we need socket programming. Socket programming, or we can say network programming. Okay, network programming. So after this, we'll discuss about collection framework. This is very important. Okay, among all core Java concepts, collection frameworks takes more place, and it's a very important one. Out of 10 rating in core Java, I can give 6 for collection framework itself. It's a very important one. Okay. Why? Because in the collection framework, we can see the list, array list, complete data structure. In C, we have a data structure, right? In C++, we have a data structure. C++ with DS, C plus E with DS. In the same way, in Java with the data structures is nothing but collection framework. Okay. So in this collection framework, how data will be collected, and huge data. Always in Java applications, we deal with big databases, huge databases. Even nowadays, Hadoop is also there. Okay. Even in Hadoop, we are using Java. So whenever we are dealing with big data, so we have to collect the data into a list. We cannot take as it is, because Java will not support any other extensions or any other environments. Okay, it supports only Java related things. In the sense, Java understands only objects. Remember this point. Blindly you can say Java supports only objects, not databases, not .html files, not any other files. Okay. If you are giving any input as .doc file, it should convert into .java or a .object. Then only a Java can understand. Otherwise, Java will not understand a raw material. Databases directly we cannot input into the Java. It should convert into an object. Then only Java can understand. It's a very important and universal truth. Java understands only objects. Okay. So we are converting the database as a big data into one object, a list object. That list object, we call it as collection framework. Okay. So we have so many type of structures like array list, linked list, list set of objects, and a set of objects. Okay. Maps, hash map, linked hash map, tree map. Okay, and the collection related classes, collections. So many things are there in collection framework. It's like a data structure, okay, for Java. So we'll discuss about collection framework. Okay, so these are the basic things, and apart from this, we are going to discuss programming in Java. So in each concept, we are going to discuss at least 10 to 15 examples, and after that, I will give a simple project on that. Okay, in multi-threading, I'll give a simple project, and in socket programming, I'll give a simple project. After explanation itself, and even collection framework, I'll give a simple project. Okay, so these are the core Java related one. And when it comes to the real world entities, like real world technologies, we have JSPs, okay, JDBC, and servlets. Along with this, Spring, Hibernate, Struts. Okay, so these are the frameworks: JSP, JDBC, Servlets as technologies, and the Spring, Hibernate, and Struts are frameworks. Okay, so it is divided into 4 different layers. Before starting this technology and all, I used to explain 4 different layers. And this is very important. This layering concept is very important for again interview purpose. Okay, presentation layer, data access layer, sorry, service layer, data access layer, data layer. So if you know this layering concept, you can easily understand what are the technologies are there and they are used in Java. Okay, so this is a real world. Forget about Java now. So let's think any other programming language. So you're writing any project. Okay, presentation layer, service layer, data access layer, and data layer. Presentation layer in the sense, let's take a bank application again as an example. So whenever you open any bank application, what is the very first thing you can see? Not only bank application, any website. Yes, exactly. Login page. First you have entered the credentials. Okay. So when you are entered the credentials, you are entered into the bank application. Again, you'll see whatever the windows, like whatever the services they are provide to us, like credits and all, account information, transactions, whatever are there, which are comes under presentation. Okay. First of all, what is general meaning of presentation? What they are presenting to us.
Okay.
That comes under presentation there. Okay. So it's
That
completely.
what we can see it on the screen. That is what.
Yes, what we see on the screen, it's called as a presentation. So that type. The programming which is used for those things, we call it as presentation programming, and that complete layer we call it as presentation layer. Okay.
Okay.
So in the UI part, generally HTML will use to create those things, pages and all. Accepted, right? So along with HTML, in Java, we have JSPs, okay,
Okay.
and Struts. Struts, JSP is a technology, along with HTML it is used. As a client part, HTML will be used, and the server related part, JSP will be used. Only in presentation layer, I'm talking about presentation, forget about other layers, only on the view. Whatever the view we have on the bank applications or any websites, that view part contains JSP, either JSPs or struts along with HTML. Okay, JSP can also be used. Yes.
Dot class file, we use JSPs. How is it?
Yes. Dot class files can use JSPs. Server related thing is JSP. Only in the presentation layer. That's what. Server in the sense, again, don't go for any databases or don't go for any high-end technology. Just I'm talking about the presentation one. In that presentation one also Java is required. Okay, along with HTML. Without HTML we cannot write.
Yeah.
Along with HTML. So client side HTML is there, and for that only UI purpose, server side JSP is there. Okay. So JSP is again a combination of servlets. I'll explain when we are explaining about JSP servlets. If I explain now itself, it creates some confusion. So as of now, you can understand JSP is the server side for UI presentation one, and framework. What is framework? Just before we have discussed, framework is nothing but which reduces human effort. Okay.
Okay.
So if JSP is there, we have written a JSP program with the 500 lines of code, and this 500 lines of code will be reduced into 50 lines of code when we use framework. This is a very accepted one in the world. Why? Because whatever the repeated content, the frequently used content are there, in JSPs we used to write that. There is no other way. whether it is frequently used or rarely used, we have to write it again and again. Okay. So in the frameworks, whatever the frequently used content or whatever the content which is required as a pre-requirement for the users, they have already written. Okay. Just a jar file will be there. They'll create a jar file and we can append the jar file to our programming and we can write our own program. Struts is nothing but it is almost the same as JSP with the servlets. Okay. There is no other thing in struts. It is a combination of JSP servlets only. But thing is, they'll reduce the content. Whatever the frequently used content is there, they'll what the complete pre-requirements. They'll create a jar file for those things in the UI, and that part is given to us. Like immediately, whenever I asked a bank application front page, immediately you have said login page. This is frequently a common thing for all websites, right? In this way, whatever the common things are there, not only login page, I cannot say it's a login page, that just for example, whatever the common things are there in any type of programming, in JSP programming, that will be converted into a jar file. Okay, so it almost reduces the human effort, just we'll give the inputs and we'll get the output from the struts programming. It's a framework. The framework which is used for UI is struts, and the technology which is used for UI is JSP. Though it is JSP or struts, whatever, it will use Java technology itself. Okay, so this comes under presentation. We are discussing about only that presentation. Keep in mind that the bank applications, only that presentations. Okay, okay. Then service layer. What is service layer? Whenever I clicked on login page, I entered some credentials. Okay, I clicked on a submit button. Okay, now it is going to next page. Before going to next page, some functionality is executed. What is that functionality? First, it takes your credentials. Okay, and it compares the credentials in database which is already stored while you are registering. Okay, whenever you have entered into the bank application, first thing is registration. So it compares with the registration details. If that details are exist in the database, then it say that you are an authenticated person, or you are not a right person, you are invalid credentials, whatever the message. Okay. So in between this, some processes goes on. So in that process, service layer will come into existence. Okay. Service layer is nothing but which deal with the business objects. Okay. For example, you have did some transactions. So in that transaction, suppose you have 10,000, okay, in your bank account, and you want to take 5,000. Simple calculation. This is not exist in the real time. Just a simple thing for understanding purpose. So you have 10,000. You are taking 5,000. So what should be the balance? Generally, it should be 5,000. But after taking 5,000, still it shows 10,000. Okay. Who is the loser? Bank people are the loser. Okay. So my account contains 10,000. I have taken a 5,000, but still it's showing as 10,000. So it is not updated. Okay. So this type of programming is very important. Okay. It needs more security. Not exactly this. What type of algorithm? Suppose we need to write any algorithm for a programming, or we need to write any logical content in the programming. I mean to say that logical content. Okay. So whenever it requires any logical, whenever it requires a business related content, some people have huge businesses, so they cannot share the business for each and every one. So they believe only the authenticated persons and reliable persons, and for those persons itself they understand, they'll explain their businesses and they'll ask us to write the program. So this layer is very important layer among all layers of Java, securable one and logical one. Okay. So in the service layer, in such type of service layer, we will use EJB as a technology and the Spring as a framework. Either you can use EJBs or Springs. In the same way how we JSP servlets are there, in the same way EJB is a Java related technology and Spring is a tool which is used in Java. It's a framework. Okay, so these two things will be used in the service layer. and service layer programmer will get high salaries in the industry. But we cannot directly go to the service layer as when we join in the company. First they'll put in presentation layer. So you are the part of writing any UIs, okay, pages, page development, and server related JSP code development or structure development, whatever. So first you'll put in a presentation. If you are comfort with that company, after they'll move to the data access layer. In the data access layer, just now we have discussed, Java will not objects anything other than objects. Okay, sorry, Java will not access anything other than objects. Only it can accessible only with objects. Though it is a database or though it is an HTML content, whatever it may be, it will accept only objects. It's a blindly remember thing. Fine. A database is there. Data layer is nothing but a database which is not related to Java. Databases are so many. Like we have Oracle is a database, Sybase is a database, MySQL is a database. MySQL is related to MySQL Corporation. Sybase is related to Sybase company. Oracle is related to Oracle Corporation. SQL Server is related to Microsoft. In such a way, we have so many databases, different vendors. Okay, we can use any other database. Database is nothing but storage purpose. We will store the data. Okay. Suppose a customer is there. Very first day he came to the bank, he registered with the bank. So on the first day we are storing details in the database. If you are not storing the details in database, what happens? Every day that customer has to register. Okay. So if every day customer is registering, that is a big process. Will customer irritate with the bank and will not come from the third day or fourth day. Okay. So we will save the details in our database for the customers. For that purpose, we need a database. Where a number of customers are there, we need more databases. If more databases are maintainable, we need some algorithms for accesses. Okay, so in such a way, one by one is dependent. So data layer is nothing but database. Okay, but data access layer is nothing but JDBC.
Access the database. Yeah,
Yes,
sorry, I have a question. Yeah,
Okay.
to access the database, like we had to write the programs in the data layer.
Yes, we have to write the programs. That's what.
Yeah.
You have to write the programs. That program in such a way that it can accessible the database and it should convert into a Java object. Okay. On this Java object, we are performing some operations, whether algorithm or whatever it may be, in service layer. And after performing the operations, whatever the output is there, we are presenting that output. Okay. So in the data access layer, we will use a technology called JDBC or Hibernate. Not only these frameworks, we have so many frameworks in the world, okay, in the real world. But basic, mostly used frameworks we will discuss. Okay. JSP servlets are used in the presentation. Yes. Right.
Yeah, can you explain about the data access layer framework?
Yes, data access layer in the sense, JDBC is a technology. Let's discuss about JDBC. JDBC is technology which access data from the database in terms of its string. String is nothing but a Java object. Okay. I'll explain the procedure while discussing JDBC. So JDBC is a technology which converts a database content rows and columns into Java objects. Simple thing to understand is a JDBC is a programming or a technology which is used to convert a database. Database is not an object. Very first thing is it's not an object. It is completely with rows. One single row is nothing but one object in Java. For example, employee table is there. So employee complete row is nothing but a single employee details. Okay. That single employee details is converted into one object. That object we call it as POJO. Plain old Java object. Okay. POJO. So we call it as POJO and we will create one POJO with particular fields which are there in the database. I'll explain. I think it's very beginning to explain this. Whatever the content which is there in database row, will create a POJO class and we'll assign whatever the values are there into this POJO. Okay. But to access database, and to assign to the POSO, we need a technology, right? So that is JDBC. So JDBC will create a connection with the database and will get the data, whatever the data which is there in the database, and will assign to that POSO. So once data is assigned to that POSO, it's a Java object, a plain old Java object. So it is converted into an object. Now this object is passed to the service layer. In the service layer, if any operations are required, so we are performing some operations on those objects in the Spring, like calculations and all, 5,000, 10,000, whatever, logical, functional related things, algorithmic related things, whatever the functional related things are there, we'll perform in service layer. And after that, we'll pass that content to the UI. Okay. For example, a login credentials are there. We are entering the login credentials. And that login credentials will pass to the service layer, like username and password. Okay. It passes to the service layer. From the service layer, it converts into a Java object, and it passes it assigns to that POSO in the service layer. And again in JDBC, it gets the details from the POSO of class, okay, in JDBC class. In the JDBC class, it creates a connection with the database, and it checks whether these details are there in the database table or not, okay. If these details exist in the database, it returns true, or else it returns false. When JDBC returns false, this false will go to service layer, and this false is converted into some message in the service layer, like your invalid credentials, or you are not an authenticated person. So we'll see those messages when we enter wrong password, right? So this false will be converted into some messages, and that message will be present on the UI by using this technology. Clear? Hello?
Yeah.
So this is a process, a real-time process, and the technology is how we will use these technologies in the real time. Okay. So what are the technologies we are going to discuss? JSP, JDBC, servlets, Springs, Hibernate, and Struts. Struts, JSP, servlets are come into presentation layer. Okay. And EGB, Springs comes into service layer. Either anyone we can discuss. We will discuss in Springs. JDBC, Hibernate will comes under data access layer. Okay. Database is nothing but any database, but in our sessions we will use MySQL database. It's an open source one, you can easily download. It's a lightweight. If I want to install an Oracle software, it takes more memory, and it's an heavyweight, it's a licensed one. Okay. So just for a basic purpose, we'll discuss about whatever the operations are there. So we will use MySQL. We are not using any complete business level. Okay, so business level database models and all, just we'll discuss only basics and high-end basics and all. So for this, MySQL is enough. We are going to use MySQL. It's an open source one. You can easily download it. So whenever we are going to start JDBC, you can download MySQL. Okay, and the editor we are going to use is Eclipse or Edit Plus for Code Java. Okay. So this is the basic things and basic introduction to Java. Any doubts in today's session?
Actually, I missed the starting the parts. I was worried on that part also.
Okay. Missed in the sense only this thing, right?
You said technology, difference between the technology and that. I missed that one. I was there till you said difference, and we were discussing, and by the time it was got a barrier.
That is not a problem. When we discuss about the programs, we frequently will discuss about this. It's not an issue. Just given the introduction, while discussing programs, I'll show what is .java and what is .class, how JVM will be used and all. So at that time you can easily understand, because it's a programming. So when it is in terms of programming, you can easily understand, right?
Okay. Yes.
That's not a big deal. And this presentations, this layering concept is okay, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then this is very important. Complete project. It explains about complete project. What is there in the real world. Okay. So not only banking, you can take any example.
Okay.
Immediate gratification.
And even whenever you are attending any interviews, of course, you are going to interviews or not, I don't know. But whenever you are going to attend any interviews, or whether the people ask or not, you can explain about this layering concept. Because generally you are a fresher or you're an experienced candidate, whatever it may be, in the resume you'll prepare one project, right?
Yeah.
If you are a fresher, you'll create one fresh project or your college project or whatever. And if you are an experienced person, already a real-time project will be there in the resume. Very basic thing is they'll not, in the software industry, they'll not concentrate on whatever the details you have given. They'll only concentrate on resume. Okay, they'll ask questions in resume itself. They will not go out of resume. So if you prepare the resume, it's 100% preparation. So in the resume, if you specified any project, okay, explain that project in terms of these layers.
Okay.
Okay, so then it's easy to understand for those people how you have implemented, and they'll think so it is a perfect layered project. Okay.
Yeah.
We can also use JDBC in presentation also, right? JDBC can also be used along with JSPs, but that is not right programming and right approach. I think what I said is understood, right?